Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 198, oh my god, of Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. My name is David Howe.
My name is Patrick Nisley.
And boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest joining us on tonight's episode. The one and only Ryan Upchurch has returned to the show.
Hey, good to be back, guys. How's it going?
Oh, yeah, it's good. How you doing, man?
Doing well, yeah.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. We got you on today, Ryan, because we're going to be talking all about the Pokémon Presents presentation. Presents? We like to call it Pokémon Presents. That happened today. Was it that good of a present? You'll have to wait until the main topic to hear our thoughts on it. We're going to be going all over that in the second half of the show. And then, of course, in the first half of the show, we've got a ton of Nintendo and gaming news and rumors to go over. Just some of those include a big 10-year deal that Microsoft has allegedly made with Nintendo, the passing of a musical video game icon, and also State of Play happened with Sony, and we've got maybe some Switch Pro rumors if you play your cards right. But before we get into all the news and shout outs and everything, how are you guys doing? How was your past week?
It was good. I got into, we'll talk about what we're playing later, but I played a lot of Switch, and so I've been playing some new games and having time to do so. It's the first time in a bit, which felt very nice. So good week.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's always nice.
Nice. Yeah.
How are you doing, Patrick?
I'm all right. I'm fine. We were going to get together this weekend, David, but I was kind of had a funky day and I wanted to, sorry about that. I ended up canceling.
It's all good, brother. Yeah, no worries.
But I think that was a good thing for me. And I've just been mostly trying to make a big push on my game. Monochrome Heights. I shared a little bit of footage this past week and just trying to crank out a bunch of stuff for it. So that's been good.
Yeah, it's looking really good. You showed that like items showcase off and kind of like the different sorts of platforms you can encounter during your gameplay.
Yeah.
It's really impressive. It's come a really long way since I played the demo last.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get my hands on that.
Yeah, I'm trying to crank out a bunch of levels right now so that I can get some, feedback and iterate on them and that sort of thing. Yeah. So
nice.
Hopefully soon, if anybody wants to play test, there will be opportunities.
Hell yeah. What
about you,
release
David?
the game for free and everyone can have it. And no, I'm just kidding. I'm doing all right. I'm a little red right now. I got sunburned. I was playing tennis yesterday and forgot any sort of protection against the sun. So I'm hot all over and sore. And I'm realizing my knees are also 34 years old. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I'm having a pretty good time. I also played a bunch of Switch as well. And a lot of Xbox. I'm playing so much Chained Echoes, but yeah, we'll get into that at the end of the show. But that's a great game, and I'm excited to do the show. This is our first show without Matt. How's it feeling to you so far, Patrick?
I'll be honest that I'm a little bit stressed. I'm taking over Matthew's video duties, at least to try it out, and like I think I get real anxious and nervous about anything that's new that I care about. You know what I mean? So I am definitely like, I came into this like 30 minutes early and trying to figure things out. We'll see how it goes.
I bet it looks great.
Any consolation, I'm really stressed too. Like, Matt was always like the sweetheart of the group, and y'all are really like intimidating type guys. And
yeah, well, that's what people say about us. They say, "Oh, those Switch Heads, they're real tough guys."
Like it's Matt was like like the dessert, like the vanilla ice cream afterwards, after a really like spicy meal. So
Patrick is the hearty main course. I'm the bitter coffee, and Matt was the sweetie pie. Yeah. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I made it a food reference, and thank you for rolling with it.
No, we are a food podcast now.
All right. Well, we miss Matt, but I'm going to do my best here. And to move us along.
Long story short, fuck Matt, who needs him? It's basically what we're trying to say.
To move us along, we'll go into our shout outs for the week. We got a lot of these, so I'll try to blast through them. But last episode we did on sort of weird Nintendo marketing, publicity stunts, and that sort of thing. One of which was Slamfest 99, which was about Super Smash Brothers. And the person who shared that recently on Reddit actually joined our Discord and explained that they were that person, and that there was also a weird Game Boy Color event where they body painted, as this person put it, Bozo put it, swim suit clad college students and live streamed it through Real Player on the internet. Wow. And they shared some I guess Game Informer's May 1999 issue covered it as well. So that was another one. Lee was interested in our talking about Nintendo sponsoring the Italian soccer or football team, and did like some digging into the jersey, I guess, because Lee likes collecting or reading about soccer jerseys. And there was one version with Mario on it that kind of had an interesting story that people thought might not even be real, but Lee shared a bunch of links about, which was interesting. We'd also talked about the movie The Wizard. KSBOKC pointed out that Tobey Maguire had a bit part in The Wizard, and further commented on the Rain Man comparison. Over on YouTube, we got a lot of love for Matt. Eric, our friend Eric Shaw, said they're going to miss hearing Matt. And they've been listening for a long time, and chemistry and humor was infectious, and thank you, Matt. Carusetta also said, pour one out, sad to see Matt going, but glad he's sticking around, because that's true, Matt is still here helping out behind the scenes on the show.
Yeah, Matt's in the soul of every child that's born.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of weird Matt references for a while.
Can't wait for Matt himself to be the next running bit on this podcast. over on Instagram, Frankie Nets gave the salute emoji for Matt leaving, and Sprowlix2 said big sad. And then back to the main topic from last week, over on Facebook, Vincent Goodwin mentioned something called the Nintendo Fusion Tour, which was a music tour that Nintendo sponsored for 4 years, apparently, between in the early 2000s. Where you could play F-Zero GX while waiting to hear My Chemical Romance, is the way Vincent put it. So I was not aware of that. I guess I was checked out. I was, yeah. I feel like there was a lot of weird, that was back in Nintendo's edgy days, right? They're getting
with the swimsuit thing too,
yeah. Yeah, trying to get in with the edgy teens rather than just the children.
Yeah. Well, you too can be shouted out if you have any comments on today's episode, on anything we talk about with regards to the news or Pokemon. Please share it, and we'd love to give you a shout out. And then also, we appreciate it if you share our podcast somewhere online. And always remember to pop over to YouTube and watch the amazing video work that's probably going to be in this episode. And like and subscribe over on YouTube. And with that, we'll do the news and rumors for the week. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. So as David mentioned, first up is that Nintendo and Microsoft apparently have a deal where they're going to be bringing 10 years worth of Call of Duty to Nintendo players. So I guess it was Brad Smith, who I can't remember. I read about his position over at Microsoft, that tweeted out this statement that says they've negotiated and signed a 10-year legal agreement to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo players. I don't know. What do we think about this?
It's weird because, we don't know what that would look like, what games he'd be referring to. There's the last time we've had Call of Duty on any Nintendo platform, I think it was some form of Black Ops on Wii U or something like that, right? And so it's been a really long time, and I think this is obviously just what this really is them trying to save face and being like, oh, it's not, see, we're not holding it back, Sony, why are you trying to block? Right? Nintendo's cool with it, right? And so, but it's also a little bit of empty promises as well, just because there's nothing that exists yet. So,
how can it be a binding legal agreement if they don't quite own the company yet?
Yeah. So I'm just interested what this means. I mean, 10 years obviously means, past whatever Switch is, it's not going to be Switch forever. As much as we'd maybe like it to be, but it's just because of the SEO of our podcast. But but I don't know. I'm confused as to what this means. I just know they're really trying to pull out all the stops.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're gonna make a ton of money with this probably, but I've personally feel vehemently against this. I don't. It just doesn't mix for me. I am famously have only have a Switch. And so I think that there's two paths you take on the fork of the road of like being a gamer. It's like that Xbox path and then the Switch path. And so you can do Call of Duty, you can do all those things, or you can go into the, you know, the Marios, the Zeldas, the Pokemon. And so
Splatoon. Yeah.
The Splatoon. Yeah. So, I mean, in that, I think you've seen that meme, but the fork path and one of them is like dark and has like all the rain clouds, and one's like green and has a rainbow.
Yeah, there's the military shooter and the escapist fantasy.
So I don't want to I feel like we need that dichotomy for a society, but we'll see the implications.
You know, I don't think there's anything to lose necessarily by having Call of Duty on the Switch. You know, I think having it on as many platforms as possible, I think, is great. You know, which is why I'm not like, you know, completely opposed to like cloud gaming, even though I don't really like it. You know what I mean? It's because it's like if it wasn't going to be there anyway, what's it hurt to have it on there in this form, right? I imagine it'd be something similar with Call of Duty. There's no way it's going to be like a 1-to-1 parody, even though that's what they say.
Though they say that, yeah.
Yeah. You know, it'll obviously have sacrifices. It'll have like, you know, graphical downgrades, whatever, right? I mean, the Switch can only do so much. Even whatever Nintendo brings out next is not going to be as powerful as a PS5. All right, let's get real, you know? So, so anyway, I think a lot of it's hot air, but we'll have to see how what it happens out of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of those examples of people just like using social media to like further their side of an argument on something, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if it means more like cross-platform games or going into Nintendo, I'm all for that. I feel like I'm missing out on so much.
Yeah.
Not that, you know, Switch would ever be able to play Elden Ring, but I missed out on that. So
yeah.
Maybe in the future, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about something later, but we'll hold off for now. The next up on our news is that Nintendo has confirmed that it is not going to be at E3. I think it was IGN who got this. They were the ones that reported on the rumor or that they had sources saying it, but they have now reached out to Nintendo, who is confirmed by saying that they approach their involvement in any event on a case-by-case basis, yada, yada. And since this year's E3 show didn't fit into our plans, we've made the decision not to participate. So it is now official. Nintendo will not be at E3. We already kind of maybe processed this. What do you think that statement about it not fitting into their plans means? Like do you think it's because Tears of the Kingdom is the big game and that comes out right before E3? And so they're, you know what I mean? They're like, we don't really plan to do, maybe they don't even want to do a June Direct. Maybe the last few years have made them be like, we can do Directs when we want.
Yeah. I mean, well, last year we didn't get like an E3 Direct, but we did get one like at the end of the month. You know what I mean? Was that was last year, right?
Man,
yeah, because it was like I think it was like a partner direct. That was the one where they like announced Persona 5 and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah. And that was like at the end of the month, like way after that we were like had given up on the fact that we would even get a June Direct. We got one right at the very end, right? So I definitely think we'll get something like that again. Just whether or not it falls during that week is completely up to Nintendo. But I think you're right, Patrick, in your theory that it's, you know, Tears of the Kingdom comes out in May. That's the big game that they would have a big booth for. And so they're not going because they don't need to, because it's already out. That's why they're going to PAX, right? Like they'll be able to use all that stuff they would have used at E3 at PAX. You know, this is probably has to do with a lot with delays. Like I'm sure last year they had all this shit fabricated and made for Tears of the Kingdom at E3 thing. And then E3 didn't happen or was kaput. And then they were like, okay, well, we have all this stuff. Let's go ahead and bring it to PAX. But, you know, we're not going to make all this new shit. They didn't even know if E3 was going to happen really this year, right? So all the planning that goes into it and everything, you know, and they like to do big events like that. So that would be my theory. I think the other kind of idea you could maybe extrapolate from this is that, like, what's the only other real, like, big Nintendo game that we know is coming that might come out holiday? It's like Metroid Prime 4. Maybe that's not going to be ready by holiday, you know? So they don't want to make a big booth for Metroid Prime 4 if it's not even out in 2023. So those would be my main theories.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, as we know, Nintendo likes to do everything on their own terms, so they'd much rather just do a direct whenever at this point. Yeah, I don't blame them. It works.
Yeah. Right now, the only rumors I'm hearing about anybody that's going to be at E3 is Konami, which is hilarious. And if it turns out that Konami saves E3, I'll find that to be quite humorous.
Well, we don't know if we're going to get a direct in June, but we do know that we're going to get a Mario movie direct, which is strange. But we've already had a couple of them, so I guess we know what to expect here. A little bit strange on this one too, that they announced this on February 22nd, right? And this is happening March 9th. That, typically for their directs, we find out a day or two before, but because this is a movie, I guess they want a lot of hype around this final trailer, they say. But no game information will be included in this Nintendo Direct. So I guess we just expect another, probably a pretty meaty trailer, and then I don't know, whatever voice actors we haven't had interviews with yet talk about how they love Mario or something. What else can they squeeze?
Who haven't we seen?
Why isn't this just a trailer? Why is it a direct?
Everything else, every other movie in the world drops a teaser poster and then it's trailers coming tomorrow. It's never 2 weeks away. It's pretty wild.
I mean, maybe they're trying to generate, they're not getting that engagement they're not getting the clicks that they're hoping for at this point. Personally, we're hearing the buzz, we're hearing the complaints, but I'm not hearing the excitement that is trembling up for the movie.
Yeah.
Would be hopeful for.
I'm pretty excited about this movie. I am kind of already excited. I'm at the point where I almost don't want another trailer. I don't know.
Yeah. They've shown a lot at this point. I don't know if those the reports from earlier that the movie's 85 minutes have been disputed at this point, but if it is an 85-minute movie, then we've seen a decent percentage of the movie. You know what I mean?
I'm not a big trailer person. I think trailers are great, but I don't know. I find my wife and I'll sit down to watch a movie and we'll watch the trailer and I'll be like, fuck, I feel like I just watched the movie. Let's pick a different one, and not watch the whole trailer this time or something. I don't know. That's
also what actors haven't they had?
Yeah.
Open up these YouTube videos yet.
Bit ones. This
is it going to be Sebastian Maniscalco who plays Foreman Spike?
Yes, it will.
Is he a big draw for the Nintendo Direct crowd?
I don't know. We'll find out on March 8th or whatever this is. It feels I guess that's not that far away now. It felt far away when they first announced this though, but
no, still over a week away.
Moving on, Star Fox. Star Fox is celebrating its 30th anniversary, right? The game has been around for now 30 years. I guess what was the first one was out on the Super Nintendo, right?
That's correct.
So there was a nice little cake that got shared on social media.
Kirby gets a Game & Watch, Mario gets a limited series game, and Star Fox gets a cake
that only cake.
5 people ate, maybe.
With a lot of fresh fruit. That looks great.
Yeah, that's true. But I do wish that Star Fox was given more love. this kind of just shows. Yeah, I think Metroid also had a big anniversary recently with pretty much no fanfare. Metroid is actually getting games.
Yeah, there's Dread
that Star
and the
Fox
remake
is not,
or the remaster. Yeah.
Yes, of course. But you know what I'm saying? It's it's just I don't know. I watched a bunch of YouTube retrospectives of the Star Fox series since this date has come around, and it just makes me really sad about the franchise, and I really hope it comes back soon. But it also doesn't sell, and it's had diminishing returns game after game since pretty much 64. So they got to do something with it to get people interested. Well,
this past week, there was a Sony State of Play, the PlayStation equivalent of the Direct, though it is often not as good. They don't quite get the formula of big bang announcements. And I think that was the case this time around too. A lot of games you've already heard of and more looks at them and that sort of stuff. But I don't know that there was any big thing that came out of this. They showed off some Suicide Squad stuff, which is just a shame that that's kind of more live servicey. Isn't that game a live service element type game? And that's a bummer. People don't want that. right? For
Yeah,
superhero
I've heard it
games.
described as live service hell. Which is a shame because, dude, Rocksteady are like amazing developers.
Yeah, and it looks like cool. I heard there's I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, that's a
some
bummer.
Street Fighter 6 characters, Baldur's Gate 3 date. I don't know, a lot of stuff that probably Nintendo fans don't care about. Destiny. I mean, I don't know. Some PSVR 2 stuff. I honestly didn't watch this. I just kind of skimmed the highlights.
I think you're okay. I think there's some stuff that looks cool. Like there's a game called Humanity, which is by the creators of Tetris Effect and Rez. But this one did look particularly cool. I think Humanity looks nice. But yeah, not the most successful state of play for them. I'm excited that Chia still looks good, but I don't think anybody's talking about that game.
Yeah, I don't even know. Oh, that's the like. Okay.
I feel like it's Wind Waker meets like Mario Odyssey, where you like kind of become animals or whatever.
I kind of forgot about that game. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's coming. It's coming out this month.
There you go. And then I honestly don't know a lot about this, but and I'm probably gonna mispronounce the name. I apologize, but in further PlayStation news, Toru Okada, is that how you say this person's name?
Yeah.
David?
Toru Okada.
Passed away. Can you tell us why this person is of note?
Yeah, I mean he worked on a lot of different game stuff, but in particular, what a lot of people know him as is the original PlayStation startup sound. That kind of like ambient Brian Eno-esque tones that would play as you start up a game on the PlayStation. It's just important, I think, to recognize people like that who we didn't even realize that was made by anyone, right? But it has such a huge impact on all of our lives.
Take it for granted.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll live forever, yeah.
Totally. Well, it's sad to hear of that. And yeah, that iconic noise. I do know that. And then up next, this is kind of a funny one. Angry Birds, the original Angry Birds, right, is going to be delisted from, is it all stores or is it just some stores?
I think it's the Google Play and Apple iOS stores. Yeah. Like the mobile games.
So I don't know if this is because, like what the reason is. They put out like a statement, but it doesn't really say why, right?
Yeah, I think, but the idea is that the original Angry Birds is a game that you just like paid for up front and there was no monetization past that.
So they don't make money off of it anymore? Right.
And they have subsequent versions of Angry Birds that do have, what's the word for it?
Microtransactions?
Yeah. Or like aggressive tactics in order to get money out of people, right? Predatory business practices, let's call it that. But then people just kept playing this old version and just downloading the original version because why wouldn't you? The game is basically all the same. And they're basically bringing it down for that reason, for better or for worse.
That sounds for worse for me, but
yeah, actually, I just meant for worse. Also, I'm on the tweet here that they posted, and it's like the most read image with like the widest font, and it's so hard to read.
Yeah, because it's like semi-transparent too. And
yeah,
you're seeing the birds behind it, and
it's like they wanted to make like the least legible.
They wanted me to be like, I give up because this is giving me a headache.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, well, all I know is my iPhone 3 with the original Angry Birds Doodle Jump has gotten a lot more valuable after this. So if you want to get it on eBay, I'll be posting it shortly.
You throw a Flappy Bird in there, you're a millionaire.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
We did want to mention that a couple of large Nintendo games released this week. Octopath Traveler 2 and Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe both came out. I honestly haven't looked up much about Kirby, but I know I kind of skimmed some reviews on Octopath Traveler. It's got an 84 on Metacritic.
That's
reviews. Good. It is good, and reviews have been pretty good, saying if you liked the first one, this one's better. They've improved some stuff, but Kirby's Dreamland's sitting at a 79 on Metacritic. I haven't really read much about that one. I don't know if it is worth it for people who've played it before or new players? What have y'all seen anything or any thoughts on this one? Does it appeal to you?
I've watched a couple of reviews of both of these. I mean, from what I understand, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is an excellent game. It's just a Kirby game, and
Right.
you know whether or not that's for you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's got 4-player, but it's local. So it's like if you have a family and you have kids, this seems like a no-brainer. But if you've played a lot of Kirby's before and you like kind of know what to expect and you've been there, then might not be worth $60 for you. But that's kind of to each their own.
Yeah.
That's exactly right down the middle for me.
Yeah.
My take. So I'll just ditto.
Yeah.
Ditto from Ryan on that one.
Wait for Black Friday deal when it goes down to 40 maybe.
I am pretty interested in Octopath Traveler 2, but I am in no rush because I assume it will go on sale, and because it's multi-plat, maybe it'll go on a good Steam sale at some point or something.
And it's not published by Nintendo, so the first one was.
Right.
This one is not, so you could expect it to get deals faster than the first one.
Well, moving on, the Wii U and 3DS eShops are closing, so it is officially March. It's actually technically February when we're recording this, but this episode comes out in March, which is...
Oh my God, Patrick, don't tell him too much how the sausage is made.
Also, I am in a room. And...
Whoa!
No,
we're fleshy meat packets that are filled with water.
Well, just to finish the thought is that the Nintendo announced a while back that the Wii U and 3DS eShops would be closing down in March, and so you got limited time to make your final purchases on these platforms.
Sorry, it's the 27th, I believe. Is when these shut down.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't have that in front of me, but I know it wasn't the exact end of the month, but it's close to it. So.
Yeah, you have 27 days roughly to buy as many 3DS or Wii U games as you can. And then after that point, it is morally correct to pirate these games because there's no way to purchase them.
Yeah, until they give us ways to do that, which they won't for 15 years.
Yeah, let's get real. How far away is fucking Wii U on NSO? Okay, that's a ways away.
Also because they ported every NSO game.
Yeah,
or they ported every Wii U game to Switch.
Exactly.
Pretty much. So, well, I don't know if there's anything else to say there, so we can move on to this is pretty heavy rumor territory, right? We've been talking about this rumor forever of a upgraded Switch, a Switch 2, a Switch Pro, a Super Switch, whatever you want to call it. But there is a leak that maybe has a little more credence. I don't know. What do we think?
Yeah, I mean, I can explain it a little bit, and I'd say definitely take this with a big old grain of salt, especially knowing that it's 4chan, which you got to take everything there with a grain of salt. But on the 24th of February, a 4chan poster made a post about what was going to be in the Pokémon Presents. He said that he was a programmer at one of the Pokemon companies like outsourcing studios that they work with, and got all these details correct about stuff that was in the DLC, which we'll get to a lot of that in the main topic here. But one of them was like the exact name of the DLC, that it was coming in 2 waves, which anybody could have said that. But the name of the DLC, like exactly, the kinds of Pokemon that you would unlock, a lot of features of the DLC and stuff like that. Also included in this same post was this person saying that they're also working on graphics patches for Scarlet and Violet that will be released alongside new Switch hardware, or basically that the new Switch hardware would drop alongside the DLC, as I believe is what the poster was saying. Obviously that's pretty, if you get all that exact information, I'm not saying all of it because I don't want to just like say everything that was in the Pokemon Presents right now, but it's like, it's kind of hard to look at that stuff without cocking your head and being like,
Yeah, either this person knew everything and then wanted to like fuck with people, right? Like it's that like I know all this. What if I said all this plus some bullshit and then see what happens?
Which is a very 4chan move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or legit, right? Like, I mean, those are your two best options here. So,
yeah, it felt very credible. I mean, in terms of 4chan leaks, it's more misses than hits typically, but it just seemed like just the facts. I'm leaning towards this is real. Well, I don't know. I immediately thought about y'all and talking about this for years at this point. So
sorry, it just
we're part of the problem.
Well, I just want this for you. I really need this for you.
We really need it to be Super Switch.
Yeah, we really want it to be the Super Switch. Yeah,
absolutely,
obviously.
Yeah, then we don't have to have any name problems.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of even want to like give this too much like more time because it's just like it could be either way, obviously. And it's like, and we've heard, and like you said, Ryan, we've heard a million of these fucking rumors. And I think that you could argue either way, right? Like you could argue that it's way too late in the Switch's lifespan for there to be a Pro as opposed to a just Switch 2, right? But then you could also say, well, they also said that they want to sell blank million units this year and having a thing would blah, blah, blah. But then you'd be like, oh, okay. But then, that the average life cycle is this. And it's like, well, Nintendo could just make the life cycle 10 years or whatever, so you could have arguments on this forever.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's whatever. Just take that information with a grain of salt. And then if it happens, we told you first.
Well, I think that does it for our news and rumors segment. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll talk about another big newsworthy event that happened, which was the Pokémon Presents event. Well, we are back. And this week we are talking about Pokémon Presents on February 27th. There was a 25-ish minute long Pokemon Presents presentation. The weirdest thing I say, Presents presentation. Where
Presents.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's Presents. Yes.
Pokemon Presents presentation. Anyway, so there was a lot of stuff in here, but maybe not a lot of stuff for Pokemon fans that are or I don't know I don't know how to qualify this. It didn't have a lot of like new video game information. Maybe that's the way to put it, right?
I think you could refer to this as disappointing. I don't know. And certainly I want to hear your thoughts on this, Ryan. I know 'cause you're a way bigger Pokemon fan than we are. And I know you're interested in like the competitive scene and stuff like that. So that I would definitely want to get your take on that. But for someone like me, I was like, this didn't really have anything I wanted, right? I think this didn't, like, we knew we were going to hear about the DLC. Great. We heard about the DLC. We didn't hear anything about how the game is going to be made better. You know what I mean? Which, I didn't expect them to be like, we fucked up, sorry, but like, it would have been nice to have a little something there. No new game, really, which was a bit unfortunate. A lot of stuff with the mobile stuff. But you can have one night stands with your Pokemon now. So that's something, I suppose.
Yeah, it was very focused on the Pokemon extended universe rather than like the core series. So I totally get that disappointment. But every fan has one like component of them, whether it's Masters EX or Cafe Remix or whatever, what they love and they will like ride or die for. So to a degree, there's some content there, but yeah, for the people tuning in for the main chunks of Pokemon, could scroll past 20 minutes or so of this.
Yeah.
What about you, Ryan, though? Like, as you watched this, were you into it or did you leave feeling that way? Or,
it's good to know. Like, I want to be caught up in all these things, but I'm not in that, like, I'm not playing Cafe Remix. I'm not playing the trading card game, but like so many in the community are doing that. It was interesting. I was like compelled the entire time, but it's still, would have liked to even gotten more than like just the sneak peeks of the DLC if we're trying to, validate the entire direct.
What
Presents.
So I'm probably going to say this 5 more times, so I apologize. But the production value of this thing was insane to me. Like they had
a good way.
Well, I guess. like I just like to start with, they open up with his name, what's his name? Ishihara, right?
Mhm.
And he's got this like, I don't know, CG Pikachu.
Yeah, a Pikachu that somehow found itself in the uncanny valley. I don't know how you do that with an electric mouse, but
Yeah.
The entire time it was on Ishihara, I wasn't sure if it was CG or like Chuck E. Cheese animatronic Pikachu.
Or both, right?
So-
Like something they like.
Could be either.
Yeah.
man, now I want a Five Nights at Freddy's with Pokemon.
Well, so like that, and then like like we can go through it, and we should, but like they talk about the competitive scene, and they had all this footage and stuff like that, and that's not so much what I'm talking about, but maybe we can talk about that since that's what came up next, and I will, as I said, bring it up 5 more times what I mean. But what they're gonna have the Pokemon World Championships this time in Japan in August. Is this something you follow, Ryan? I know you're into the competitive scene, but is that like interesting to you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this is the competitive scene is for what it is, having a moment, and with all the in the core series, all the quality of life on building a team, where you're not looking for IVs and then building EVs, and building a competitive team takes out like 30 hours. This is now something you can do in an hour or two if you know what you're doing, and making the right sandwiches or anything like that. But
Right.
in the VGCs that I've gone through and all the regional competitions, there's been 2 or 3 times the amount of like contestants as prior. And so much so that it was typically like a 1-day event, and now they're having to span through multiple days to get through regionals. So it's cool to see this happening. Like, you're seeing world championships be a lot bigger. You're seeing kind of, niche micro celebrities come out of this space. Like, we have Wolfie, who's been the champion in the past, and is always pretty competitive there, but he's starting to stream. He's starting to get like a following amongst many others, but it's becoming much more of like a very hyper niche thing to just like a regular niche thing to do.
Gotcha.
That's interesting. I was curious just how the competitive scene is in the era of Scarlet and Violet. Because obviously Arceus didn't have there was no competitive scene out of that. But I mean, is it pretty robust? Like how, and does it use the whole terastallizing and everything like that in the modern competitive scene?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the most recent gimmick is always a big component to this. I really like Dynamaxing, but everyone has an opinion on like which one's their favorite, or what, how it affects the gameplay. Terastallizing was really good because it created like this bait and switch thing that you can do, and then you can fool them. You can either make it offensive or defensive in how you set that up,
or change your type or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I would say it's pretty robust. They did a really great job of creating new Pokemon that fit right into it. The Pokemon they exclude in each one is very particular in terms of I think that competitive scene affects the Pokemon that gets in the game, because you'll have some folks or some Pokemon that completely change the meta, and so they're taking it out. They added some, what I'll say about this run for me in terms of this generation and how competitive it is. So far, it's been in the meta like a lot of gimmicks. I'm not past gimmicks. I love them, but you're seeing stuff like Dondozo and Tatsugiri where Dondozo stats double when Tatsugiri comes out, and then so you're getting this like essentially this water Snorlax that's hyper bulky coming out, and then everyone having that. You're seeing stuff like Perish Song, which has never been used in competitive play before. With this move, basically you roll that out, and in 3 turns, everyone on the field dies, or faints. So you're seeing a lot of those things that are winning rather than just playing it kind of straight up smart strategy. So
right, because they can't, like, it's not like Smash or like a fighting game or something where they can roll out an update and like one character gets buffs if they were lower, and then other characters get nerfs. I mean, do they do that? Like,
they absolutely do.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. So, I mean, they typically between generations edit the moves or abilities.
Okay, right. So, but not like after a game has released. Like, they wouldn't like buff. I mean, you can't like add TMs or something to a character, can you?
So they did with. I mean, I brought up Dondozo, but there was essentially a glitch where it would, and I might get this wrong, but it's only supposed to do some like double some of its stats versus all of its stats, and so they've edited that. Like with the new patch, now that ability is altered to where it can't do that, which completely takes that out of competitive play. Really
interesting,
and I would say it was way oversaturated for a moment.
So that sounds like a good change then.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it, but if you had that team and that was your entire strat, they did that. I mean, with the way that these regionals have been, I think some folks found out days before competing, and so that would be a big bummer. But
at the risk of just like asking you questions about the competitive scene for this entire episode, I do wonder, like, do they just ban some Pokemon outright? Like, are there like in, maybe they won't get like removed from the game, but it's like if you're going to be playing on these official tournaments or whatever, like you just can't use certain teams or something like that.
Yeah, so they don't like ban like combinations of teams, and so you'll see a lot of the same team that, if someone won a regional, you'll see a lot of people play that next regional with that team. But the format will have like, hey, we're doing no Ubers or only one Uber, or the Series 1 had the Paradox Pokemon wasn't allowed in, and then Series 2 you could do that. So every time you do that, that shifts the entire meta a little bit.
Right.
So that's a way to keep it fresh.
Gotcha.
Interesting. Thank you for your expertise.
Yeah, and maybe we'll talk more about the competitive scene, but back to the Pokemon Presents. Yeah, we'll just kind of breeze through some of this stuff. But the trading card game, they showed this. I don't know. This is where I'm talking about the production value. They showed like these super well dressed people in this super fancy office carrying this case in, and like felt like a spy movie or something. And then they're playing Pokemon trading card game.
Yeah. That was something I found interesting about this entire presentation.
Right.
Was I didn't see any children.
Oh.
Like, did they show kids ever in this presentation?
During like the World Championship stuff, maybe, but yeah,
maybe
not so much during the like.
Yeah, like this, like Pokemon Sleep, like it was all like adults like,
that was
interacting with this stuff. I wonder like how much of that is like kids want to be like feel like their hobby is important and see themselves in adults, or if they're just like the kids are going to buy the stuff anyway. Let's market to the adults.
They're the ones with the money for this sleek case.
Well, they're the ones that are going to care about like the first
Classic,
print of the Pokemon trading card game, right? Like I know, like I was like immediately hit by nostalgia when I saw that, because I loved the Pokemon trading card game, like when it first came out. And I was, a lot of kids just like collected the cards, but I would play, I would like go to tournaments and stuff and actually play this thing. And so it was like really cool to see them like set up a mat, and it's like, oh, you can buy the original cards again. But I tell you what, dude, these are going to be fucking expensive. I bet you anything. These are going to be like way, way more expensive than regular Pokemon cards.
Absolutely. I mean, haven't been in the trading card game in a minute, but the market has just exploded. Like, it's something that when I was collecting them back when I was a kid, that was in my head an investment, and it actually ended up becoming investment in its own right, which is insane to me still. But
so is this Pokemon manipulating the market, do you think?
They know what they likely. I think they know what they're doing in terms of like the super like fan of trading card is going to spend a lot of money. That's likely an adult, so let's have an adult on there. I don't know, but it seemed like there's more elements to the game going on. They had like that, I don't know what this on the map, a side like roller, almost like a Beyblade thing in my head. That was the left of it. So maybe there's new elements to the game that makes it even more interesting and complex.
This is for the Logan Paul crowd.
Well, then next they had a long talking segment about this, but showed off a super short trailer for this Pokemon Concierge show on Netflix, right?
Terrible name.
It is a terrible name. Pokemon Resort would have been better, but I do got to say the animation, it's like claymation.
Yeah,
Really,
stop motion. Yeah,
really like the animation though.
No, I liked it a lot. I think it left a lot to the imagination. Like, following the success of White Lotus, this is like a Pokemon spin-off on it.
Yes. Yeah. This is Pokemon Black and White Lotus.
There we are.
The jokes make themselves. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm never going to complain about more stop motion animation or just more animation in general. Right. But it was, it's great. I mean, we were just talking in the Discord about a rumor that had resurfaced about a live action Pokemon show at Netflix. I don't know that this is what they were referring to. I mean, stop motion is at least more live action than like CG or hand drawn animation. Right. But it's like, either way, I mean, it seems really cool. They just didn't show anything. And I just know stop motion animation takes fucking forever. So I wonder either how long this has been in production already, or is this going to be something that doesn't come out to like 2024, because they didn't really show anything. It wasn't like a trailer or something like that. So I gotta think this is quite a ways out, but it's nice to see them teaming up with Netflix, and hopefully we see more out of that, more original live action or otherwise Pokemon stuff.
Next, I'm going to breeze through this, but Ryan, I would love for you to interrupt if any of these games matter to you as a Pokemon fan. But like they showed off Pokemon Unite, and stuff coming to all these different games. And they showed off Pokemon Cafe Remix and Masters EX. I don't know, do any of those games? Do you play?
I played Unite for a little bit. I don't play Dota, but it seemed like it's it's that game, but very simplified. It was very much pay to play, but apparently the market's like crazy for it. It has millions and millions of downloads. I know that Unite's like really big in China, and so in terms of that gaming scene,
right,
it has more of a hold. But I mean, it's.
They can play it for 3 hours on weekdays, and then the government shuts off their internet.
But yeah, otherwise, no remix, no Masters EX. But this is the extended universe, I think, where there's always one super fan, but I don't think it has a lot of mass appeal.
The Pokemon chat at my work was very excited, but that I wasn't hearing a lot of that from normal people. No offense to the Pokemon pals chat at my work.
Yeah, so I don't know. They showed off those games, and I just thought it was funny that they said Pokemon Masters EX is celebrating 3.5 years.
Did they say 0.5?
Did I make that up? I could have sworn they did.
Maybe.
Which I think is hilarious. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but
they wanted to get on the Mario 35th celebrations, but they just had to add a decimal in there.
Oh boy. And then we gotta talk about Pokemon Sleep, right? This is another one of those things where I was talking about the production value of this. They just had like, I don't know, a lot of footage of people living in apartments and walking around and going to sleep.
It was awkward.
Yes, and a lot of airtime on this as well. Yeah. But they announced Pokemon Sleep in 2019, and so everyone's been like they just killed it or something like.
Yeah.
So to see it come back in full force and become a big part of this was very strange.
And they have this little thing at the bottom that's like, this game is not an AR game. This is not game footage, but this video they played sure made it feel like you're actually sleeping with these people.
Yeah. It was a lot of footage of people like in the afterglow, like just kind of wistfully like shooting eyes at their Pokemon as they like wake up in the morning and they're like, "Oh, you're still here." That's so nice.
It was unsettling when a guy like lifts his head from the pillow and you see Bulbasaur's little tentacles come out of his vines and just start like massaging his temple.
Yeah. Really, really. And again, just adults in this. Yep. No children. So it felt like, obviously, I mean, these are obviously consensual relationships they're having with their Pokemon, and so I'm not going to like judge them on that. But it certainly like didn't really sell what it was. It was just like this really awkward, like especially when it was like the threesome. It was like a
a couple
like
that
a husband
invited
and wife,
somebody over. Yeah.
that had a Pokemon in the middle. They're both just kind of stroking it. Like,
We're
it
in
was
an
just
open
weird.
relationship, Pokemon. You want to come hang out?
It's very, very strange. I mean, and like you said, we've heard about this for so long, Ryan, and like to see it, and then now it's also like, what about this is like 4 years of development? You know what I mean? Because like
Truly.
what it seems like at the end of the day is that it's an app that when you go to bed, you press a button, and when you wake up, you press a button, and it tells you how long you slept for.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
With some like Go integration to it. I mean, that being said, I'm gonna make. Can I make a bold claim here?
Please.
Yes.
I'm willing to say that Pokemon Sleep will most likely be the most slept on game of 2020.
Come on. You can't say that. Come on. You're off the pod.
That's when I was like,
I love it.
should I say this?
Man. Well,
I mean, yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's fucking strange.
it's weird.
Yeah.
But
I'll take it over Pokemon Mouth. I prefer it to Pokemon Mouth.
Well, I feel like it gets weirder. Like, I don't know, like because they show this super long thing, and then but then it's like the gameplay is exactly what you said. It's just pushing buttons. But then not only that, right? Like we have this new device, right?
The Pokemon Go Plus Plus accessory.
The Pokemon Go Plus Plus. What the hell name is this? I guess it works. I mean, it worked for programming languages.
Somebody's been playing Chained Echoes. Sorry. If you haven't been playing that game, you won't understand that. That's fine.
But it's just a glorified button, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I was kind of actually, when I first heard about this, I was kind of excited because there's all that like, there's like wearable tech stuff, and there's even stuff with your phone that you don't have to press a button. It just like knows when it's been sitting there for a while that, you know, you've gone to bed. And then when you wake up, it kind of like measures the movement of the bed as you like whatever. But this is like, you have to actively press it, which I feel like I'm the kind of guy that like when I close my eyes to go to bed, like I don't fall asleep for like 45 minutes. You know what I mean? Like it's hard for me to fall asleep. So like, I don't know that I'll be able to like, as I'm dozing off, like hit the button before I pass into the dream world. I don't know. It just seems like it was a missed opportunity.
No, I just can't. I can't imagine trying to explain to my wife when we're going to bed that like I will be having this accessory.
I just
like,
need
on my
this
bedside table from now on.
Pokemon Plus Plus to be in the bed with us.
Not
baby.
only that, but it can play lullabies for you. So just
Yes.
Oh yeah.
just let me hang on, honey. Let me just fall asleep to Pikachu's weird chirping.
She's like, baby, we need a divorce. Oh man,
It's just
really,
a button.
really odd.
It reminds me of those buttons that they made for like was it Amazon or Target
the
or
dots.
something?
Yeah,
Dots
yeah.
where you could when you run out of toilet paper, you just push this button. What? We don't need this. We don't need this. It's just a button. Okay. Rant over.
No, it's okay. It's weird. I don't know. If you want to defend this button, please sound off in the comments. I would love to hear an argument that that gives me a reason for this button to exist.
The button is coming July 14th. I don't. Did they tell us when Sleep was coming? They just said summer, so I assume it'll be around then too.
Sometime this
They'll
year.
probably want it to be tie into the button. But okay, now we can talk about maybe the meat of this presentation, which was like the last 5 or so minutes of it. When they talked about the DLC, right? And then lastly, I have to point out that the lead in to the DLC was live action.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Weird. Like, this is where I'm talking about. This whole presentation had tons of like stuff that they've filmed for this. Like, I don't know.
Well, do you remember when they first showed Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, or when they first like revealed it? It was like that weird, like Japanese custodian who was like going into a room and
Yeah.
then uncovered all this like coffee everywhere or
That's
something.
right.
It's like a weird room with all this, and none of that ended up being in the game in any capacity. So I don't know. I think that's just part of the marketing ideas.
Yeah.
I think there's a blend of like just on your point of like the weird production value, like because I follow like hiring for big companies that I'm interested in for like video producer and stuff like that. So I get emails whenever like Pokemon Company is hiring a video producer. And whenever I get one of those, always within the next like year, the style of the videos change dramatically, right? I think they just put a lot of faith into whoever they hire to like make this kind of content. And then I think some of it is made by Pokemon Company in Japan and some of it's made in the US. And so you get kind of this mismatch of styles. But
yeah, I mean, it was just very jarring to get that high production value and then it immediately flipped to like concept art that they put a ripple effect on for like 35 seconds.
And then it flips back to like this CG thing where they zoom over the ocean. I don't know if y'all remember that. And like, and like sort of washed out classroom. I don't know. The whole thing is weird, but we can talk about the actual DLC, right? What's it called? The Hidden Treasure of Area Zero.
Yes. And then there's the two components of it, which is the teal mask and the indigo disc. So those are the two separate installments.
I think the indigo disc is the name of the new Indiana Jones movie. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I guess this is cool. Like, you know, I think we can all agree, most Pokemon fans agree that like this is better than like releasing a new game that has both, you know what I mean? Like they've done in the past, right? Like DLC is a better path. Do we all agree about that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think with Sword and Shield, they proved it. It, you know, it was rough around the edges at times, but I was well worth the money. It added more. I mean, it fixed a lot of the issues. Pokemon fans always like to get mad about not having every single Pokemon in every game. This adds this on in layers, which, I mean, makes a lot of sense from a development perspective as well.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I'm a huge fan of this path, and I've heard a lot of buzz on this before this was even announced. So I think this is going to be pretty high quality, or that's my hope.
It's better than like basically buying the same game again with a little bit of content added, which is what Pokemon fans have been used to for so long, right?
Yes.
All the way back to like Crystal or Yellow even.
Yeah.
Also, I want to point out the release dates for this. So it's Windows, I guess I should say. Fall 2023 and winter 2023. So theoretically, we're looking at almost a year after the game came out. I mean, fall, that, you know, probably that means September, and winter probably means December-ish or something, right? Because they say 2023. So, but that seems farther than it was for Sword and Shield, which was in the summer, right? Is that because this game released in a buggy state and they need more time, or, you know,
I would hope so. I would hope that's what's going on. Right.
Yeah, I mean, my like sincere wish for the franchise is to take their time more. So if they made the windows of each gen longer, that would be just fantastic. So to build the next thing and it not be a complete mess, as good as the game was, in my opinion, but just, we all know about the technical errors and all this. And so to avoid these things, to actually just build a thoughtful game. So I'm totally fine with the windows extending.
And don't you think that's what this means, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess we should point out, there wasn't like a lot of details about this DLC, right? We got these names, we got a couple of different Pokemon that are coming to them, right?
We got some really cool key art. I think the art for it looks really cool.
Yeah.
I like the art. I mean, the Pokemon, I think, kind of forgettable, but you get the dog and the monkey Pokemon called Okidogi and Monkey Dory, which is the best naming that Pokemon's done in a long time.
That is really nice. Yeah. They should name all of the Pokemon after a David Bowie song. Yeah.
Well, I guess I want to point out too that before we talk about what this all means, but that you can buy it today, and that the patch came out today. The big patch.
Oh, did it?
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't actually heard anything about any performance improvement. Have you guys?
It's really new, so it's been hard to find it came out not right after the thing, but like sometime later that morning. So I haven't looked since. We're recording this on the day of the presentation, so we'll kind of report on this if it makes sense to, like, in terms of, you know, the next week or two. But I think, what do y'all think about that? Like, that they used this. I'm guessing that the update also allows you to pre-purchase it and get some of this early stuff, right?
Yes.
So, like,
Yeah,
I don't know how
outfits.
How do we feel about that? Like, because it kind of seems like they may have delayed a patch to like tie in to try to convince people to come back to the game and buy DLC.
I mean, that's 100% what they did. Yeah. I mean, that's why it took 3 months or 2 months for this thing to come out, right? Like, I mean, we already said that was going to happen anyway, because we thought it was going to be tied with home integration. Seems like that's not even ready yet, right? Like, that's not out
later.
Now. Right. So I mean, this is them probably thinking that they're compromising, you know what I mean? But they have to tie everything to some sort of announcement. I think they're just fucking sluts for vertical integration, the Pokemon company. You know what I mean? They just need everything to like be an advertisement for everything else that they have, right?
That's how it feels watching this, where it's like Zacian is coming to Unite, and Unite is coming to the World Championships, and the World Championships are coming to Japan, and Japan is where Pokemon's from.
Yeah, it's a house of cards. If you remove one element, the entire thing comes crumbling down. It's like Jar Jar Binks in episode 1, right? Like, I'm sure that, you know, George Lucas in the screening room, he's like, I think we kind of put a little bit too much weight on this guy. It's a little too plot dependent.
Well, let's move on to maybe talking about what this meant, like, because I think that's a big thing. If the DLC is coming out fall and winter, doesn't mean Pokemon can't put out another game that comes out at that same time, but they haven't announced it. Kind of feels like maybe this is the big Pokemon thing for this year. What do y'all think? Like,
Absolutely. I think between this and all of the grab bag of other Pokemon products that they're giving out, I think they're fine with this. I think, you know, part of this is I feel that maybe with the rollout, they lost people that were going to download and saw all the stuff that came up, or the technical issues, and they're trying to win them back and trying to add more to this. So it's not like, I mean, I think it truly is a fantastic game. They did a lot to development to make it really fun, but I was definitely a person that's like, I might wait 2 months to play the game when it's patched.
That's what I'm kind of waiting to hear what the performance is like. You know, I put it down after a couple gyms.
Yeah, I've heard good things about like the laundry list of things in this patch. A lot of it is, you know, sneaky tricks to just take down the processing time, like having less spawns, less characters. So I know, like, for shiny hunters, they'll really hate that because that's a numbers game. But I mean, I hope it works well. I mean, I really would like to go through the game with it and it not be so rough around the edges, because it was fun.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a few comments on Reddit just saying that it was not really a performance update, and that it's still laggy and choppy as fuck.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. I do find it interesting that, you know, they set this whole game up to be Spanish themed and kind of in the Spanish region. And the DLC is all like Japan themed.
Yeah. Everyone was thinking that was going to be a tie-in to Gen 5 and Black and White, because that was France in the Pokemon world. And so they were kind of alluding to these things or saying how close that was. So this is just a complete left field, and is more playing on the school element and being a transfer student and everything.
Right.
So
yeah, I thought it was another Legends game at first when they first showed it, just because it was all like kind of like traditional Japanese.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a lot of what the vibe of that was, right?
It was an interesting pivot. I mean, it looks like I kind of get that. You know, as an adult playing, I'm not really into the school element to it, but I mean, it works.
Maybe if I could talk about something that I really wanted to see that we did not get, which I'm disappointed in, is any kind of NSO Game Boy stuff. I mean, I think that was always a little bit pie in the sky. You know, that was almost too perfect. You know, like, clearly they're not going to do like exactly what everybody wants, because why would they? Because they love to see people in pain. But it's like, you know, I wish that we had gotten some sort of Blue and Red are coming to Game Boy, or if you have the expansion pack, you get, whatever, Fire Red, Leaf Green, or any of the other gens, right? So that's a bit of a bummer that was not a part of this.
Yeah. I mean, that would be really interesting, especially when you take into account home, because that's something that, people would love to be like, I mean, I know it's not your childhood version of these games that you can port over and it's this, but to have that connectivity and have that built in would be really interesting, because the port to get something from, Game Boy Advance, like to home is, you have to have like 3 different, you have to go through every generation and just transfer it over one at a time. So,
and the only way to get the original like Red and Blue is through the 3DS Virtual Console games, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they're waiting until the stores are fully closed, but I don't even think that would be what's stopping them. But that was a bummer not to see kind of any of that. But I'm also not convinced they're ever going to do that. I don't think Pokemon likes to devalue their brand, and they might just see that as devaluing their brand. And I think Nintendo probably wants it more than the Pokemon company proper does,
That's fair.
So
yeah,
probably a balancing
that makes
act.
sense. And I know a lot of people were hoping for like a remake announcement too, right? I don't know if you're in that camp, Ryan, but I know some people were I heard a lot of people disappointed about the Game Boy thing, and then also about like there was no other whatever region would be due for the remake. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's also Gen 5. So people thought this was a tie-in given the regional
proximity.
Perfect. So yeah, I mean, I would embrace that. The last remake in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl was horrifying. So with like the chibi versions of Pokemon, of the icon characters and everything. Not saying that I mean, I'm sure they learned a lot of lessons, and I would love to see a really great, thoughtful remake, because Black and White 2 is really, really fantastic. But yeah, we'll probably still be waiting, but maybe that's next year.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully that this is them slowing down, like I just remember last year being like gobsmacked, dude. Like when Arceus came out at the beginning of the year, and then midway through the year, I was like, oh, we got a Pokemon Presents. I can't wait to see what the DLC for Arceus is. And they're like, fuck you, new game. Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa, dude, like, how could you possibly make this game that fast, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so cool. I don't need any other game this year from Pokemon. Take your time. I think you guys have proven that you need it. And hopefully this is finally something that happens. We've got a new anime now. They're retiring Ash. Right? Or maybe that's already happened. Has Ash battled his last battle?
He's world champion now. Congrats to Ash. Yeah. But yeah, we have new characters, but like it's like a time shift. I now I'm thinking,
is this like the Legend of Korra kind of
Legend of Korra. I don't know if like Ash is the new character's dad or anything, but like that'd be nice.
That would be nice. Keep it in the family. That's what I say.
Well, I think, we covered everything that's in the presentation and some of the things that weren't. But so as we wrap this up, would love to know, any final thoughts about Pokemon Presents, events like this. Do we like them? Do we think it's weird the way they do this? I think all the production value is crazy. But, or do you like, I think it sounds like we all kind of agree that this is great in a certain sense of like, slow down. We don't need them to crank out another game, take their time for the next one, or for whether it's a remake or what. But just any final thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Hopefully this is a signal that they're slowing down and actually taking their time to it, that, this is something that they've been doing for a decade at least, of just kind of schlocking it out and then having some success. I mean, and there's plenty to schlock in terms of adding, a new character that comes to the cafe,
which also had high production value. They made that food image of like that cafe.
That was probably the best part of the Presents right there. Was that food looked really good. Yeah. And then it was like exactly in game. Mm-hmm. They like did a really good job on that one.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, Ryan. That just made me remember, because I said I had to mention it 5 times. I had to get it in. So
did they say when the trading card game Classic was coming out?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Actually, I just looked here. It looks like late 2023. I hope we don't have to wait that long for the Game Boy game to come to NSO, because I love Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy, and I think that would be so much fun to play online. And I really hope that comes out sooner than that. But,
you'd think it would, given that they showed it, but who knows? They also showed off a bunch of N64 games that still haven't come out. So.
Yeah. And all we really want is Blast Core. Sorry, that's beside the point. Pokemon,
David.
Okay.
But we're wrapping it up. So final thoughts.
Yeah. Final thoughts. I don't know. This was a bit disappointing, but I'll take it if it means they're slowing down. I think that's basically it, right? I think, it's as a bit of a lapsed Pokemon fan. I mean, I bought Pokemon Violet and I enjoyed it for a bit. I kind of put it down because there's a million other things to play and I wanted to respect my time. But it was like, I definitely don't want to just abandon that game. And so I'd at least like to go back and finish that base game at some point. And hopefully we get some nice performance sometime soon.
All right. Well, that does it then for our talk on the Pokemon Presents. We're going to take another short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the games we've been playing recently. All right, we are back, and we are talking about the games we've been playing. I have been playing a lot of random games this past week. I played a bunch of Smash with my cousin, and then I had a funny experience where I went to play some Switch Sports with my son. And we decided to try out the golf, and we were terrible at it. And then my son was like, let's play Mario Golf Super Rush instead. And we started playing Mario Golf Super Rush instead. And kind of rehooked on the game. He is especially. And so we've been playing tons of Mario Golf Super Rush. Again, like the story mode in that game was all jacked up, but the core golf, pretty fun. And like we didn't follow all the updates, so there's like 2 or 3 courses we never played.
Right now it's like a full game actually.
Yeah, and so we're playing through these other courses, and like he's like, let's watch a video so we can get better. And like I don't know, like so it's been kind of fun to play Mario Golf Super Rush again. Other than that, I played a few other random things, but that's kind of been the main thing lately, strangely. I didn't really get to give Switch Sports Golf a good chance because he was swinging wildly and just he was like frustrated.
It is fun, but I've also barely played it since it was released. I wonder how many people actually went back to it.
I had a hard time swinging a left Joy-Con in my right hand straight. Like, you know what I mean? To like have a straight golf swing. And I found that it felt more like if I bowled, it felt better. And then like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I bowling golf?
Look, for the love of the game, Patrick.
Yeah.
Putting is really hard in Switch Sports Golf. It's like really, really sensitive. And it's hard to gauge. But anyway, that's all you've been playing?
Mostly, yeah.
Great. I'll go next. I have not been playing a ton of games this week, actually. I've been getting into the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games here and there. I beat Kirby's Dream Land. You can beat that in about 40 minutes. Played some more like original Tetris. I have been playing a lot of Kuru Kuru Kurudin on the Game Boy Advance. You've been playing that too, Patrick?
That's one thing I forgot to say. I did. Excuse me. I did play that.
Yeah. It's a really fun game, right? It's like super simple and stuff that I don't think I even realized when I was playing it before, when I was playing it on my Steam Deck, is that, if you hold one button, you go faster through the stage. But if you hold both buttons, you go even faster through the stage, right? So you're moving faster, but your rate of spin never changes. So it kind of like, there's a lot of like crazy speed tech. It's like a really hard game. It's like I understand why it wasn't a launch game in the US, because it's like really difficult and weird and challenging, but it's super fun. And I love games like that, like Super Monkey Ball, like get to the end of the goal.
It's also like, I didn't realize the like lore, you know what I mean? Like I knew you moved around as this bar, but then to like play the game and find out you're this little bird and stuff like that.
Yeah, like a little bird astronaut in a spinning bar ship. Everybody knows this. Patrick, come on. Get with the times. But yeah, I've been doing some of that. I beat That's a Cow. I don't know if I said that last episode, but that game was super easy and dumb. I spent $2 on it. It's fine. I've been trying to grind out the end of the catalog here on Splatoon. I know the update just dropped tonight, or at least like the DLC update. And I think you could play Tibble Turf online now, but like not everything with the new season is out. Most of that comes out tomorrow. It'll all be out by the time you're listening to this. But I've so much so that I've got Splatoon hand right now. My hands are super cramped because I've been just like trying to play a shit ton of Turf War just to get my catalog up. And then lastly, I've been playing a lot more of Chained Echoes. And Chained Echoes, man, is such a good fucking game. It is so goddamn good. I really recommend it. We're playing it for our JRPG club. I've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks now. Matt was talking about it a lot last week, even though he's dead now to us. Chained Echoes is so good. It's and I thought that the story had a lot of twists and turns the last time I was on the show, and ever since then, it's only gotten crazier and crazier. And I've unlocked new mechanics and all this crazy new traversal stuff. And I actually have an airship now and can fly around the world map. And it's like the game just like opens up more and more and more and more the more you play it. And and I'm consistently blown away by the way it tells its story. It's just like an instant classic, and I'm worried a lot of people are sleeping on it. But it's definitely worth playing. But yeah, that's me. What about you, Ryan? What have you been playing recently?
Yeah, so this weekend I just started Disco Elysium, and
nice.
All about it for something, a far cry from the Pokemon series in terms of its grit and just how like awful it makes you feel in a good way. But I mean,
I feel like you could be a Disco Elysium character.
Oh, perfect. That means a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
You got the mustache for it anyway.
Perfect. Yeah. Really enjoyed how it handled all. I mean, the plot is very driving for me, but it just the first game that I've ever had, like, there's certainly a overt political aspect to it that isn't like terrifying to have to come to terms with, or like, it didn't seem out of its depth. It's challenging. Like, I'm playing it as if, I was the protagonist and I'm going through and making the choices there, and that's having a great time with it. I'm going to pick it up later. Also been playing through Persona 5. It's my first time with the Persona series. Also, really, really into it. I think there's a lot of good stuff there. We'll probably go back.
Juggling Disco Elysium and Persona 5 has got to be a bit of a challenge. Those are two pretty meaty games, right?
Yes. I'm going through like seasons with Persona 5 where I'll pick it up and like only play that and then stop for a bit. But they're both like have this like my new season in gaming where it's the relationship element to it, and then the clicking dialogue, and makes me really wish there's a KOTOR coming down the line someday, but we'll see.
Yeah, they're doing a remake of the first one, right? Or yes. I don't know, didn't it get postponed or canceled or something?
Yeah,
I think Aspire dropped the ball on
doing it, and then something happened and they canceled it. I don't remember the details, but yeah.
Yikes. But either way, yeah, those seem like really cool games. Is that been all you've been playing? Any snack games, any bite-sized games in between these big meals?
My bite-sized game is always Smash, so I will just go online and play for 5 minutes between my day, all these things. So that's always a constant through line for the most part for me. Nice. But that's been about it.
Awesome. Well, that does it for this episode. Then thanks, Ryan. Thank you so much for coming on.
So happy to be here.
We really appreciate it.
Poke.
We love y'all.
Thanks to MilkyWay.co, who does our website. Thanks to Corduroy, who does our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick, online, you can find me most places as PDYX.
I'm pretty much ever on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Ryan? Where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Upchurch with the A removed, so RYN Upchurch, or Psyduck Man on Switch or Discord.
Let's go. Nice. Yeah. I feel like you're like a pretty old school Switch head. I feel like you were one of the OGs.
Yeah.
Of our
wow.
Discord. Yeah. Would you say that's accurate?
No, I would say so. I got to, I may not be the most active on the Discord, but I'm just watching from the sidelines, being so proud of my voice.
Like, we do what we can.
As we've grown.
Let's go. Yeah, we love Psyduck Man. And if you'd like to find our show on social media, gang, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook. We got a website, switchheads.com. And then, of course, like we were just talking about, we got a Discord. Please join the Discord. Such a great place. Hell, the guy who posted the Slamfest 99 photos is even in our Discord. So what more reason
blowing
do you
up.
have? Yeah, exactly. We're, just so you know, we're a little famous now. No, but yeah. So please join on there. We also have a Facebook group that is still going strong to this day. It always got new content. So join us over there. And I think that's going to do it for the episode. Once again, thanks so much, Ryan, for joining. It's great to have you on. Been too long since we've had you on from before. We're going to make it way less time between your next appearance and this one.
I'd love to be back as always. Yeah,
of
great
course.
to be with y'all and hang out.
And also, gang, thank you so much for bearing with us as we're doing the show without Matt. I think we did a pretty good job. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think it flowed pretty well. No, we love Matt, obviously, and I don't know. I wonder if he's going to listen to the show.
Yeah.
I bet he's probably going to listen, right? What do you think? Probably not. You think he's done with us forever?
No, he's helping out with the show. He's doing things. We know.
What if he just never listens ever again? Oh, God. Now I'm having an existential crisis. All right. No, that's going to do it for the show, guys. We're going to have a great episode for you next week. So make sure you stay subscribed. Like Patrick was saying earlier, please give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, even if you listen over Spotify or wherever. It helps us grow and reach more audiences. And if you are on there, please give us a review on Spotify as well. They do those. And Apple reviews, man. That just helps us get further up there in the algorithm, and we could really use that. So thank you guys so much for all of that. But other than that, gang, we're going to go. We love you guys very much. You know the drill. Stay safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. We'll see you next week. Let's hope we get that trading card game soon. I'll see you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.